Hello, hello. How is everybody? Start just a tiny bit early today. I think I started a minute over last week, so we'll start a minute under this week. Also notice there's a couple of questions just to answer quickly. So Dima asks, are we looking to update Nucleus or create a library with a piano or felt or intimate piano? So short answer is I can't say anything about what we're doing. Otherwise, the Audio Imperial ninjas will come and drag me away. There's lots of cool stuff on the horizon and in the long term as well, but obviously I can't mention anything. However, I would love to do more piano stuff, and I think it would be great to have some kind of intimate piano. And yeah, it's good to know that some of you guys would like that as well. So the short answer is can't say anything about what can't speak today, is or isn't happening. But we definitely listen to everything that people say. We do always appreciate it when people give us feedback on products that we have or products that they'd like to see. It does help. So yeah, just as always, watch this space. But we do listen to all the ideas that people have. So thank you for letting us know. Tuesday evenings are always nice with these streams. I agree. I really enjoy them. I'm looking forward to this one as well. Well, I look forward to them all, but I think this one's going to be cool. We're going to be doing some original composition today, kind of in the style of our composer in question. But whereas we've done mock-ups in previous weeks, we're not going to do any specific mock-up this week. We're going to write something kind of in the style of. So that's going to be fun. And we're also going to maybe do some workflow stuff as well, mostly related to Cubase, but hopefully some of the workflow stuff will be useful for people on other doors as well. It'll give people some ideas about how they could look into optimizing the workflow on their doors as well. So as you can see, the man to the, well, I guess straight ahead of me, but to the left of the screen is the wonderful Thomas Newman, fantastic composer. We all love him here at Audio Imperia, and I think a lot of people out there do as well. He's part of a composing dynasty, if you like. There's so many Newmans, and they've all had a huge impact on Hollywood. Thomas Newman's very much done his own thing. You know, he's broken off as his own individual man. He's a fantastic composer in his own right, but the history of the Newmans is such a fascinating history. If any of you know the 20th Century Fox logo, the famous drum, da, 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 that one with the 20th Century Fox, that was his father. There's David Newman, there's Randy Newman, there was Lionel Newman, who was the head of music at 20th Century Fox for years and years. Incredible stories about him. He was instrumental in the careers of people like John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, really helped bring them up through the system. Also a wonderful conductor and a great composer as well. Thomas's dad, Alfred, incredible composer too. Thomas's brother, incredible composer. They're all incredible composers and incredible music makers, and they have a huge link to the Hollywood movie system going back decades. But as I say, Thomas is very much his own man. We're not just talking about him in the context of the Newman family, although that's fascinating. He, as a composer, is just an incredible composer, and we've wanted to look at some of his stuff for a while. So just looking, some hybrid stuff would be neat in the future. I agree. We always love hybrid stuff. So yeah, as I say, I'm really excited about, what we've got coming up. But yeah, the Audio Imperial ninjas live in the trees over there. And if I say anything too much, some kind of dart comes in or something, I think. I'm too scared to find out. No, I'm only joking. But obviously, yeah, time will sort of unveil, really can't speak today, unveil what we're up to. And I'm super excited to share it with you when we can. But as I say, it's always great to hear your suggestions, because it does sort of, just help us know what you guys feel is missing or what you'd like to see. Gives us some ideas too. And it's just great to talk to composers about the tools they would like to use. Hey, no problem, Pecan. Thank you. Yeah, this is going to be great. So done a little intro on Thomas Newman. Obviously, he's such a prolific composer, such an amazing composer. I've heard he's a very, very lovely guy too. And I really sort of admire him as a composer in terms of the way he's operated, the kinds of movies he's worked on, the kinds of people he's worked with. Very, very eclectic. He's done everything from Bond movies to animated movies to dramas. He works closely with Sam Mendes. Right now I'm downloading Flagship Collection, excited to create some stuff with it. That's what we like to hear. Thank you very much. It's great that you've bought it, and I'm really excited to hear everything that people do with these collections. I think we've got a lot of new or existing Audio Imperia customers who have downloaded a lot of new cool libraries, and I'm super excited to hear what you do with them. So as always, if you do make anything, join our Discord, is what I was going to say. The link will be in the description. Discord is where you can share the things that you do, whether you use our libraries, someone else's, it doesn't matter. It's all about sharing. But if you do use our libraries, we especially love to hear what you guys have done with them. Some of the stuff I've heard already has been incredible. Cosmodium says, Ollie is probably with a dagger if you share new stuff. That's what's happening. Ollie is actually away today, so I don't think he's going to be with us, but he says he's away. I reckon he's out there, and I reckon he's got the dagger, and he's just waiting, you know, in case I trip up and announce something I shouldn't. But yeah, lots of cool, exciting stuff. Okay, so Thomas Newman, we're going to do an original composition, but kind of in the style of, I mean, look, I'm not Thomas Newman, so it's going to be at best a kind of, you know, a tribute. But we're going to use maybe some of the techniques that he uses because he's a very, very interesting composer. In my opinion, almost the perfect guy to bridge the gap between old Hollywood music scoring and new Hollywood. He's got a beautiful orchestral sensibility, uses the full orchestra a lot. You know, he's big on woodwinds, big on very, very beautiful string writing. But he's not afraid to use synths, not afraid to use textures, pads. He uses a lot of sound design, but in a way that's quite different to someone like, for example, Hans Zimmer, who feels a lot more, it's hard to explain, not less organic, but I don't know. It's a lot more overt, the difference between the sound design and the orchestra. With Thomas Newman, everything sounds really wonderful and organic, and he's found a brilliant way to just blend everything to this one beautiful, evocative, unique sort of sound. Hello. No Ollie today. No, I'm afraid not, guys. Yeah, he's left us. He's abandoned us. I'm not sure who will be with us today. Could just be me. I apologize in advance if it is. You're going to be stuck with me for a couple of hours. Well, me and Thomas Newman's face. We'll keep Thomas with us because he seems like a very nice guy and a great way to spend a couple of hours. What libraries will we use today? Good question. I don't know, because this is an original composition. Could use anything. So could use 2 libraries, 10 libraries. I've got them all loaded up. In fact, we'll move over to the door and we shall get started. So here we go. Yeah, so you can see I've got everything loaded up. I'm almost sure I'm going to use Araya. I'm sure I'm going to use bits of Poseidon, which would be interesting. I definitely want some woodwinds, so that could be nucleus or it could be solo, could be both. Probably end up using bits of Jaeger or nucleus brass too. We could use some vocals because Thomas Newman stuff often has vocals, solo vocals as well. We'll probably get some percussion in. I think because this is quite evocative of Thomas Newman, we'll probably use some pitch percussion like celeste or marimba. He's quite sort of well known for using that stuff, but often in interesting ways. We'll get some pads on the go as well. And you can see I've started loading up some stuff that I think could be useful. So I think we've got guitar in here as well. Yes, we do. Oh, no, let's move this back. I'm going to do, we don't want that side pane. There we go. Still not used to Contact 8. But yeah, I'm really not sure what we're going to use. Literally 5 minutes before we came on, I just started playing this simple sketch, which we'll get to in a second. So I think I've got an idea for the sort of back end of this piece. In terms of the direction we're going to go, Thomas Newman has so many different films that he's scored, so many different kind of approaches. He's done everything from huge action stuff like Bond right through to the most kind of heartbreaking dramas like 1917 or something, which I guess has a lot of action in too. But things like American Beauty, he's obviously very famous for. He's done a lot of animated things as well. He's really got such an eclectic career. So we could go almost any direction, but the way that I think I want to go is kind of... He scored Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. He also scored a film called Passengers. I'm thinking of going in that direction. So using some sound design elements and using some of these more colorful elements that he likes to put into his scores, but trying to combine that with some of the harmonic sensibilities, some of the beautiful melodic stuff that he does as well. So we're going to try and write something that's quite ethereal and evocative, maybe a little bit underwater-like or outer space-like. In other words, we're going to try and create this interesting, evocative world, but we're going to ground it in these kinds of beautiful melodies and harmonies. Well, hopefully try and ground it in these beautiful melodies and harmonies that he uses. Now, how far we're going to get, I don't know. How good it's going to be, I don't know. I'm not Thomas Newman, unfortunately, but we're just going to have fun with it. Like I said, this is never about literally trying to be these composers, because that would be impossible. It's just about having fun making music and thinking about what makes their music work. So Thomas Newman, let me just think. Tuesday again. I love Tuesdays now. Thank you, Daniel. I'm glad you're with us, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it too. This is going to be good. So I brought up this Modiculus, as they call it. Interesting name. Just to maybe show you guys some... Oh, let's go up here. There we go. Some of the harmonic stuff around Thomas Newman. I mean, we're never going to scratch the surface of his harmonic sensibilities, and he's a master at this kind of stuff. But something that's very interesting about Thomas Newman, I think, having listened to some of his stuff over the last few days and got reacquainted with it again, is that I would describe it as kind of like a great American tradition in his music. So he seems to take a lot of kind of American style scales and keys and modes, combines them maybe with some more sort of modern cinematic sensibility. But you'll get a lot of these kind of suspended seconds, you know, or suspended fourths, or stuff in the pentatonic. So suspended second, we won't go into theory too much today, but this is where you essentially take the third and make it a second. And suspended fourth is the opposite. You take the third, make it a fourth. What's interesting about these kinds of chords is they're ambiguous. A third sounds, generally speaking, quite happy. So a major third, kind of happy, bold. A minor third, kind of sad. These are generalizations, but you know what I mean. So sad, happy. But these don't really have a definite character. It depends where you go. So if I was to go, you could argue that might be quite sad or downbeat. If I was to go, you could argue that might be quite happy or upbeat. Obviously, these are massive generalizations, but I've noticed a lot of these in his music. A lot of things like these kinds of seconds, or he might even do like a add 9 here, which is where you have the third and add the ninth. So a lot of really interesting, ambiguous, beautiful chords, and we're going to try and get kind of a few of those in here today. And I'm going to go, as we go along, I'll try and explain what I'm doing. We're going to start, I think the way I want to start is with a kind of ethereal section, almost like a sound designy section with some moving, beautiful, shimmery textures, which are very evocative of Thomas Newman. Maybe we'll get a guitar in there or some kind of piano that may be doing some kind of delayed thing. And then we'll try and move to a more melodic section that's almost like a kind of back end, a bit of a thematic, cinematic section. This is what I played. Now, ignore my playing, it's terrible, and I literally just doodled this in as I was setting up the stream. But this is what I played, and this is what I think we'll use as the basis for our back end today. So you get an idea of what this is. And we'll probably kind of end on that suspended fourth to the major. And just kind of end there. We'll peter it out like the end of a cue. It doesn't have to end on a big cadence back to the first. We're just kind of ending on this beautiful ambiguous note, which I think is evocative of Thomas Newman. It sounds a bit weird on the piano, but you can kind of hear on the strings. If I can play properly. I think it's going to sound quite nice. But we're going to start with a more evocative section. So I've been looking just before we started at Poseidon. Poseidon has this great sound design engine. Oh, thank you very much. Well, I hope, yeah, by the time we finish it, I hope that it's going to sound quite nice. Let's see where we get. We might not get all the way. Let's just see where we go. So I've been playing around with the Poseidon sound design engine. Poseidon's a brass library, beautiful sounding brass, but it also has this really powerful and interesting sound design engine. And I was looking around at a few things. I was looking for these aquatic sort of sounds because I was almost imagining of making a cue from Finding Nemo or Dory or something. So this one's quite nice. And sounds quite Thomas Newman-y. Let's just have a look at a couple more, see if there's anything else. Ooh, we have one called Seashells there. Where'd it go? What's this one going to sound like? Oh, I crashed my computer? Nope. Just taking some time. That could work, but I think that might be a bit too much for an intro. What did we have a minute ago? Do you know, I forgot. But let's have a look at this depths below, see what this sounds like. These are all taking a bit of time to load up. That's cool, but I think that might be a bit too much. Let's go back to this aquatic. Where was it? Oh, if I could find it. Where are we? Aquatic opening. I think we might just start with this. So just play. Maybe something like this. Yeah. We don't want any of these effects. Let's just try a couple more, see if we can find something else. A surface shimmer, that sounds nice. I haven't really dug into these too much, so we're just going to see if we find something that takes... Ooh. This might work. Yeah, let's just pop that in. We're going to find sort of a speed, which I think is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Yeah, so... Nice, okay, something like that. Let's just pop this in. So the first thing we're going to do that's relatively Thomas Newman is use a pad, but it's not like a big synth pad. You know, a lot of people use these very synth-dominated pads. Thomas Newman stuff always sounds organic. Even his synth stuff always has this kind of organic feel to it, whether there's layered percussion in there, or whether there's a layered woodwind, or whether it's based on organic textures that he's processed. I don't know, but nothing ever sounds overtly electronic. It's always very beautiful. That's a bit high. There we go. Let's just put that one in. And we'll just extend this out. I don't know. Maybe we'll do 8 bars, something like that. Oh, this sounds perfect. I haven't picked Poseidon yet. Poseidon's very cool. I like it. I mean, it's you know, it's a more purpose-built brass library in the sense that it's really about these wave motions and the sound design engine. But the core brass in here sounds stunning as well. I mean, I just love the way it sounds. We're probably going to use some of that today. Okay, so that's quite cool. I might layer this with like a photosynthesis pad to give us some top end, and the movement of the two independently I think is just going to sound quite nice together. So let's see if we can find one that works. One I usually like is one called Lyra, I think. So let's have a little look and see. Let's just see what we think of this Lyra pad. Is it going to work? We're looking for something. Yeah, I think so. It has some of that resonant high end, I think. I'm just going to name this to PS Lyra. And then we'll mix these in. So bring this down. I think we're going to want that probably an octave higher. So maybe like that. By the way, I'm going to be showing you some shortcut things that I do today, because usually I don't use my standard workflow as much as I would do when I'm actually working, because otherwise I'll just get too in my own head about it, and then I'll stop talking, and then it won't be very interesting for you guys. But I'm going to try and show you some things today that might be useful, particularly if you're in Cubase, although most of these things will have some kind of, you know, equivalent in different doors too. So let's have a listen to this. Okay, starting to build something up here. I think that's going to work. So I'm going to extend that out a bit further, and then we'll just see. I think we want to flourish to start this. I have an idea. One of my favorites is always the mark tree, and I think that's very Thomas Newman as well. So we'll go up to the percussion, we'll find the mark tree, and we'll just find something that's going to work. So I think downwards is what we're going to want. So maybe something more like, yeah, that sounds nice. Then we'll just kind of bathe that in a bit of black hole reverb, I think, and that should give us a little downbeat. I don't think we want like a big sub boom at the beginning. That's not very Thomas Newman, although of course he uses them, but I think this is just more in keeping with this piece and his work. Okay, and I just want to add to that, I'll send it to our black hole reverb, which should be up here, already good to go. Make it relatively wet, so let's see what that sounds like. Nice, and we'll just extend that out. We'll just keep it going. I switched Cubase last week, spent more than 30 hours over the weekend. That's great. I think, you know, look, all doors are great, and the best door is the one that's best for you, right? It sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. It's like, I know incredible composers that work in Ableton, FL Studio, Logic, you know, it's really not about the door, but I love Cubase. I've always been on it, so I'm somewhat biased, but I think it has a lot of really powerful features, some of which I'm probably going to try and use today, more so than I normally do. So let me, in fact, just put in my Stream Deck where I've got some of my macros and things. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. So we've got this kind of nice aquatic opening. And I'm really not sure where we're going to go with this today. We sort of have to get to this idea. So this is in B flat. And I'm starting in F, but almost this F suspended fourth. Again, going back to these suspended fourths. Something like this, or something kind of enigmatic, which I'm hoping we can get maybe to B flat from there. Maybe we'll change it as we go. We'll just see what happens. Okay. So. I'm maybe hearing something like that. Now, Thomas Newman uses a lot of woodwinds, perhaps more than, I mean, it's probably the single most distinctive thing of his, outside of a lot of modern composers, where woodwinds are not used that commonly or just used very sparingly. His woodwind writing is incredible. Newman and sus-chords is synonymous to me. It's totally true. Hey, Kaya, thanks for joining us, and thank you for everyone else. I heard Cubase and Logic is better for these huge arrangements. They probably are benefits, but as I said, I know people making incredible, huge stuff in FL Studio, Studio One, Ableton, and I've heard Ableton's incredible for a lot of things. Some people use it, even if they use Cubase, they go back to it for certain processing. They've all got their strengths and weaknesses. The most important thing is it works for you. I would probably never change from Cubase, but only because, as you said, once you've chosen your door, it's very hard to imagine going back. Curious on whether you ever use synths in your compositions, or is it mostly sample-based sound design? I use quite a lot of synths. With these streams, I tend to try and stick to the Audio Imperial sample libraries. We sometimes use a synth for sub-bass. Maybe we'll do a stream where we go more synth-based. Maybe we'll write something synth-based and just use maybe more the percussion and stuff for, you know, a sort of textures and things. Because it'd be good to do some synth stuff. Or maybe we'll process some Audio Imperial sounds and put them into synths and add granular things. Yeah, the system's incredibly Ableton. Yeah, I've heard it's really, really good. Lots of powerful sound design. Yeah, I think they've all got their strengths and weaknesses, and it's just about what works for an individual. Okay, so we're talking about woodwind. I think Nucleus has one of the most Tom Newman-esque instruments out there, whether by accident or design, I don't know, but the Nucleus solo oboe is a beast. It's so beautiful. I just think that's going to work for this, right? Don't know what we're going to do. Yeah, I think maybe I'll just play it there. Yeah, something like that, okay. Something like that. Let's just add a bit of gain to this. This is our kind of solo instrument. We'll just see where we get to with this, okay. Okay, I don't like that last note, but the rest of it was pretty good. I think back to that C there. So first I'm going to show you is I've got, as you can see at the top here, all my quantized levels set to my Stream Deck here. So I can go to 1/4, go to 1/8, 1/16. If I go to 1/8, in fact, yeah, 1/8. And I put in this soft quantize, what this is going to do is allow me to get closer to the grid without completely ruining the human nature of it. So as you can see, it's moving in the wrong direction there. If I put this into 1/4, maybe do that. There we go. And then 1/8 and just move that along there. There we go. So nice. And then just make sure all these overlap. So that's probably actually going to be more like triplets now I'm playing it. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So that sounds quite nice. Any recommendations for good tutorials about setting up Cubase macros? So Anne-Catherine Dern had a good one. Yes, I will maybe put some in our Discord, some of the ones that I've used. I'm also hoping to do some Cubase stuff as well, because I think it would be great to do it maybe more from a composing virtual instrument point of view. yeah, and when we get to the chord elements of these, I'll show you some really cool techniques for Cubase as well. Are we writing an original composition inspired by Newman? Yes, we are. We've gone the other way today. We're doing an original composition. So we're just freestyling it. I've got a bit of an idea for the sort of last half, but which you can see where we get to with it. Okay, let me just sweeten that oboe up a tiny bit here. We should have, let me just pop in simple EQ. Just give this a little bit of top end, not too much. Oh, hi, by the way, Brandon. Sorry, I didn't realize you wrote that. Okay, we're just going to sort of let this flow and see where we get to. Could you help me understand why we chose the triplet here? It's just really and truly just a compositional preference. I just think it sounds better. Without the triplet, we'd either have to lose one note, because we wouldn't have enough space for 3 notes in these 2 bars, or we'd have to do a weird rhythm like this, for example. If I do this a 16th, we'd have to do something like this. Doesn't quite sound right if we're trying to snap it to a 16th or an 8th or something like that. It's not going to quite work. And if we do like 2 sort of 8 quarter notes here, we wouldn't have any space for this. It'd be like this instead, which doesn't really work to me. So it's about space, really. I like all the notes here, but there's not enough space. And a triplet's a very common way of getting, or a tuplet as we call them, a number of notes into a different space. So for example, 5 notes into the space of 4 beats, or 3 notes into the space of 2 beats. And it just sounds really nice as well. It gives something kind of like a lilt to it sometimes. Yes, Dom does some really cool videos too, I agree. Nice. So what we're going to do is brighten this up, I think, with something else. So I wonder if we want some harmonics in here. Yeah, I think so. This is just going to add, this is such a gentle texture, but it's going to add a lot here, I think here. Let me just say, oh, there we go. Okay. Let me just make sure. I'm going to try and play more in today than I normally do. So let's make sure that my click is good to go. Okay, nice. I get to there. That's true. Yeah, I've transcribed some Newman songs, the polyrhythms and the ostinatos. Yes, he uses a lot of polyrhythms and a lot of kind of ostinati-like stuff, but used very differently to someone like a Zimmer. It's often much more delicate and much more kind of motor rhythmic based. You know, Zimmer stuff tends to be driving. Thomas Newman tends to use it more playfully. His music's more playful in some ways. It uses the orchestra in a more playful kind of classical way in some senses, where, you know, you're alternating between sections and things like that. Just beautiful writing. Such a great composer. And yeah, I'm not going to do him justice in 2 hours, but, you know, I'm going to give you some ideas. It's more about using the techniques than coming up with a perfect finish thing. So now we want to get all these textures in. I can think of some more textures we can put in, but we want them to be delicate. His stuff is always just, it's not minimal. It's just really, really clean. He never, you know, there's a composers like John Williams who are tremendously dense in their orchestration. There's always flourishes. There's always a little run here, or a little, you know, figure in the strings, or the basses are playing some kind of counter, almost like a counter melody or counter figure. There's less of that in Thomas Newman. His stuff is more minimal in some ways, but I don't like the word minimal. That suggests less. It's not less. It's just more straightforward, but in a kind of beautiful way, you know, making everything more importantly focused, if you like. So I can hear something like this. And again, we're going to drown this in reverb, and maybe we'll move it around. Maybe we'll get some pan man in there. Really try and get this across. Yeah, sophisticated minimal. That's it. It's not minimal like he doesn't write as complex. It's all beautifully written. It's just his way of doing things is much more, yeah, just minimal, just simple, I guess. Okay, let's do this random ambler. Let's do this. In fact, no, let's do something that's more, maybe, no, that's the wrong one too. Let's just find maybe, yeah, that could work, and smooth it. Something like that, but just to come in, when in doubt, drain it with reverb. Yeah, but we're going to try and make every texture count today. You know, sometimes you can layer up 8 pads and 4 different things and just hope for the best. And if a mixer came on board, they'd make it all work. With this, we're going to be more functional today. We're going to really make sure everything sort of sings for its supper and has its place. But I think that this is an element that's going to add a nice transitional sweep. I think down here. I think actually maybe we'll do the 5th. Maybe we'll do the 5th. It's starting to come together now, I think. Yeah, nice. That kind of works, I think. Okay, so, and we'll leave that oboe go a little bit longer too. And then we'll just see where we get to. I don't really have a lot of ideas about how to get to the next part. Sounds like wind chimes. Yeah. Yeah, we just want that to be quiet and sort of come in. Yeah, nice. We're going to give that even more reverb. I really want it to be floating kind of on air here, or water. Did you use the panner on the reverb only? What, for the pan man here? We've just got a pan man in here, but it's just an automated thing that's pushing it back and forth. We could have done this just automating the pan as well, but I'm using a simple plugin, I think from Sound Toys. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm hearing, I think here, some kind of pizzicato. Another common technique of Thomas Newman. He really uses these beautiful pizzicatos and rhythms. So just something like, I don't know what I was going to do. We'll figure it out. First thing I want to do is just pop over to here and make sure that my strings have some reverb on. We're going to want them to be fairly juicy on the reverb. Not crazy, not swimming. His sense of harmony is very unique. I'm not sure I'm going to entirely do that justice today, but we're going to kind of go with some of those, sounds that he does. You're in. Something like that, maybe. Just quiet there. Something like that I think will work. Yeah, it just helps out a bit. I'm not going to worry too much about. So we're going to want, yeah, something like that. And we're probably going to have them quite quiet in the mix, or quietly played. It's not going to be the main texture here. Sounds like a Spielberg movie. I hope we can get to that point where it kind of sounds like Spielberg. Nice. Okay, let's just start tidying some of this up where my bad playing is bringing in things a little bit at a time. Okay. And what I might do here, I've got this idea. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm thinking about trying to get just a beautiful little kind of swell in here, if you like. There we go. Duplicate it. So in Poseidon, we've got these lovely wave swells, or wave motions as they're called. I'm going to maybe do something on the horns. I think horns and these kind of suspended chords are going to sound beautiful. So, don't know what. Something like that, you know, but obviously maybe not quite that layered and intense, but yeah, and then we can bring the speed down, really extend this out. So just hearing something like that. Yeah, nice. That just sort of gives us a little push off into this next section here. I don't know what we're going to do. But I quite like that. So oh, I see what you mean. Sorry, I'll show you. So it's on the dry signal. It's basically just on the signal. Where are we? If I can come in here. Let me find it again. There it is. So it's just on an insert here. So it's panning, and then that's all getting sent out to the send, which is down here. So it's mostly the main signal that's panning, and then the send is getting a sense of that too. But we're not panning the send. Yeah, that's a bit much. That's a bit much, but... And then I'm thinking of doing something like... He uses a lot of marimbas. I'm thinking about... I'm going to bring the gain up on this. Of course, we're going to drown this in a bit of reverb too. I mean, I say drown. We're not going to try and make it too mushy, but ain't nothing going to be dry in this, that's for sure. I'm thinking something like... So... Oh, thank you, Brandon. Yeah, we're definitely going in that kind of vibe. So I'm thinking, yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly what. I don't know what. I'm going to show you a technique here. If you guys don't have a keyboard or you don't like playing stuff in, I sometimes don't like playing stuff in. Here's a good technique you may or may not know about Cubase. So I think we're going to start it around there, just there. So, yeah, there, just on that offbeat there. So here. Now, Cubase has step input. So you can see at this top, I've just put step input on and off. Step input is great. What it does is I can input stuff to this quantized value, so eighth note, so each one's going to be this long. And I can input stuff in a way that I can play it however I want, but it's going to input to that value. I'll show you what I mean. It'll take my velocity data, it'll take the sensitivity I'm playing at, but the timing will be strict to this. So I'm just going to play that and see if it works. I'm going to take it right down. Might be a bit busy, but you can see I played this in using the step input, and I can just turn it off when I'm done. Nice easy way of creating arpeggios or ostinatos or just getting stuff in, because it's the perfect blend of you can play it in terms of you can decide the velocities and how hard or the attack of things. But if you are not comfortable playing in time, or it's too fast for you, or you just don't have a keyboard, you can use something like this. Actually, you do need a keyboard for this, but you know what I mean. It's very useful. It's very cool. Yeah, and I've got it set to a little macro here, or not macro, a little key command that I can do with my thing. So yeah, I think that's going to work. We're sort of getting into that Thomas Newman vibe. A lot of rhythm in his stuff. As who said it earlier about it being kind of these kind of interesting polyrhythms and stuff. It's true. There's a lot of rhythm here. Yeah, nice. And again, we're basing stuff around these suspensions. So this is all just a suspended fourth in F. So we've not had a major or minor yet. Everything has been very, very ambiguous. What's philosophy when it comes to bring the sound up? I've actually been accused of not having it loud enough in these streams, which I'm apologize if they're not. Let me know. I look for, generally speaking, the loudest. But the loudest I ever try to get to is -6, even on like a big trailer thing. And then if I need to master, I have some headroom. With a track like this, it will be less than that because this is not a huge soaring piece. But I worry less about that at this stage. When I'm tracking, I just get everything in and then I'll think about the levels. I usually play everything in, but sometimes it takes a while to get a good enough take. I think it's a good idea to try and play everything in, but I'm hopeless. So stuff like this is really useful. I like that. I think that's kind of working. Just wait, give a second for this Cubase to autosave. And I think we can complement that with something happening in, I don't know, maybe the glockenspiels. I'm going to just play that a bit further in. So do a few of those, bring that out. Let's see. I'm actually going to do something in the harp different. I'm going to give that harp some reverb love. Put it in a room because this harp is a little bit dry, which I actually like, but I think for this it needs to be a little bit wetter. And same here, maybe a bit lighter. Nice, okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to try and play this in, but I'll show you something that you can do as well. So step input. I'm actually going to go to here instead. Going to want it to start there. I think that's going to be an octave down, so I can do Control-Alt down. That takes me an octave down on mine. You can set that as well, and I can carry on where I left off then. Oh, except I have it in 8th here, so that's not going to work. Second. There we go. And maybe I'll just do 2 of them, and then we can just duplicate them. And here's the thing, right? If I don't want this to sound too rigid, I have another macro here that I can just basically come out and say I'm going to have random time. So if I just press this, you'll get a tiny little bit of random time for each of these. See how they're moving? Close to the grid, but just a tiny bit of random time. That gives me instant humanization. So you get everything down until you achieve 6 dB. And also, do you need to bring up the system volume to compensate? Can you explain this a little bit, please? Sure. As we go, I will definitely show you what I mean. But basically, on my master fader, which I don't know if you can see here. Yes, you kind of can. I'm going to be making sure that I try and get to, if I bring this up a bit, try and get to no more than about here. Now, it doesn't have to be precise. And while you're tracking, it doesn't really matter at all because, you know, it ultimately isn't that big of an issue. But when it comes to mastering, if I wanted to get this mastered or if I wanted to leave some headroom, just generally because it's good practice, I'll try and get to make sure that I'm getting around here. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but if it's peaking up here and then I send it to a mixing engineer or a mastering engineer, everything's very hot and they have no space left to do anything. If it's down here and they want to boost it, they want to compress it, they want to limit it, they want to do things to it, they've got this space here, these few dBs to work in. So yeah, it does become important more for kind of mixing and mastering purposes. At this stage, I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, but then at the end, I'd probably get all my stems and make sure that they all came down or up equally. I can do this thing called Q-Link, and then I can move everything like this how I want it to. So I could literally just say, oh, I want to get these down roughly until everything here hits -6, and that's usually what I would do. As long as there's headroom, it doesn't matter too much. And the mix sounds good as long as you're happy with the way the levels are sounding. Let me just actually make sure they're all back on 0. Could do that easily. Type that in here. And then they've all gone back to 0 because it was Q-linked. So I have -6 open on my channels, -12 for certain things. Yeah, I think as long as you've got headroom. With digital, you could actually have things almost anywhere you want because you can really massively increase the volume of digital samples. And it would take a lot of extra gain before you really begin to hear all the room sound and stuff, because there's so much headroom in digital because of the way, you know, have so many bits of information, etc. But yeah, I tried to get to around -6. Certainly when I'm doing trailer stuff, it'll nearly always be around here. With a track like this, it'll probably be more like -12, -10, because this isn't, you know, all guns blazing. How do you get reverb under control with so many instruments washing it out? Well, we're probably not going to get it completely under control today because I'm not going to worry too much about the mixing. But generally speaking, a lot of it would be to do with this. In fact, I'll do this now. Let's do a very simple thing and EQ8 some of the lows and highs. With reverb, you kind of want to do this generally. I should be listening, but let's just do this roughly. For all our reverbs, what that's going to do is make sure when stuff gets sent, the low and the high elements of the reverb are kind of cut out because we don't really need them, right? Too much reverb in the bass is just going to sound weird and muddy and flubby. Too much in the highs is going to get a bit sharp and kind of resonant. And ugh. Most of the time, people will high pass and low pass EQ. and that goes a long way. And then it's about choosing which elements get all the reverb, or maybe not all the reverb, but which elements have the more creative or judicious reverb, which elements sit a bit more forward. Yeah, cool. So we got kind of a nice groove going there. I like to have almost all the channels hitting a reasonable level going out, because it becomes a lot more apparent how you should shape the sound. Yes, like if you turn it down too much before it's hitting an effect rack, it might not react the same. That's very true. Maybe we'll do, I'm thinking about adding something like this to the Modern Composer Blueprint, because we'll make some additions to that course, and talking more about what's called gain staging, because things going into an effect and coming out of an effect, you can gain stage them. For example, a compressor, if you turn down what's going into the compressor, it will compress very differently. And if you turn up what's going into a compressor, it will compress very differently. And that's the same for a lot of things. Distortion's the same. If you turn up what's going into the distortion plugin, that makes a very different effect to if you turn up what's coming out of the distortion plugin. And we'll have a look at that maybe on a stream at some point, because it's quite important. Yeah, I have this gain staging stuff at the top here. You can see, where did it go? Here it all is. I can push the gain of things here, but that's different because if I push the gain here, everything then has to go through all my effects. So if I have a compressor and it's got a certain threshold and I raise the gain, it's going to react differently. But once it all comes out of the effects, it goes into the channel fader. And at that point, changing this doesn't alter the plugins. It all gets a bit technical, but maybe we'll look into it one day because it is quite important. Okay, so I'm going to just bring that. Yeah, and maybe we'll just go into our main melody then. We don't need to go too far with this. We've already got quite a lot of the techniques here. Okay, I'm just going to go, oh, what are your tips on getting some melancholic arps ostinatos? Maybe we'll look at that as we go through this. It can be a bit difficult. I think using the right library for it and getting obviously the velocity where it needs to be. If it's too sharp, too attacky, it's not going to have the right kind of melancholy tone. But maybe we'll try and get something like that in today, and maybe we can have a look into it. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing. Glockenspiel, I think. If I actually click on it, that might help. Yeah, something like that, maybe. I think right up there. And again, what we're going to do is just get black hole on this. Generally speaking with reverb, this is a generalization, so don't take it, literally, but the higher up sounds are, the more reverb you can use without causing muddiness and problems in the mix as a whole, because, higher up elements have more space. Lower down, everything's a lot more compact, there's a lot more energy, and if things are reverby, it will just wash everything out and get very indistinct higher up. We can probably get more in, but we'll see. Obviously, it's all a balancing act and it's all context dependent. So I'm going to do these in fourths, and I'm going to put my step input in. I'm going to play them in. Oh, might help I actually play the right notes though. Something like that. So we've got 3 different textures going on here, but they're all kind of playing the same thing. I'm going to make sure they're not too loud. And then we're going to have a little listen and just see, do we like what's going on? I'm not sure we're going to, but we'll see what happens. Just duplicating these out. That'll give us enough to work with. So, yeah, nice. Okay. Just going to sort of back that oboe down. We'll just do simple volume stuff here. We don't need to worry about automation too much. Just back that down as it comes into that big sort of dramatic, beautiful bloom, but it's a bit too much. Yeah, and I'm maybe hearing something here like... just getting somewhere up there. So yeah, maybe as we get into here, it'll be quite quiet. Let me just play it in, just rough this in. Yeah, I quite like that, but not that long here. Something, let me turn the step input off, just in case we accidentally use it again. Yeah. Something like that, I think. And then, yeah, somewhere down by here. And I think that takes us into our next section. We need to clean all this up, but we're sort of getting somewhere with it now, I think. Okay. So. Something. Maybe start there. Maybe even do that whole thing an octave up. Let's just see. That might work. Yeah, I think, okay, so I got an idea. I think we sort of need to feather this in, right? It's like if you hear it coming too suddenly, it's going to sound a bit, ugh. I think we need to feather it in. How I think we're going to feather it in is with these violas. And I'm going to use concertino. I think Thomas Newman also favors concertino. Now, if you don't know what concertino is, it's a style of playing where you use a small mute on the strings. It creates this beautiful... It's muted, but it's not muted in like a dull way. It's almost like a thinner area, more kind of just very beautiful sound. Hear how it's got this kind of magical quality to it compared to a normal sustain, which sounds beautiful, but it's a bit more to it. Concertino, beautiful texture. I think we can bring that in, and I think that's going to give us some instant something to work with here. Yeah, something like that, I think. Maybe not even go there. I don't know why I went down to that. I think that's not necessary. Okay. Okay. And we're just going to bring that in maybe even later again, or maybe just make sure we're sort of starting from nothing. Something like that. Thank you, Kankat. I'm really glad you're liking where it's going. Yeah, okay. And then maybe... So we've got this... We're just going to go... Yeah, something like that. Okay, I think I've got an idea. Just write this in. Maybe something like that. So... Yeah, that works nicely, I think. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have maybe trombones, not bass trombones. One thing I like to do is when you assess chords is going down thirds in the bass. So it kind of like one big chord that gets bigger and bigger. Yes, I know what you mean. That's a very cool technique. Okay, I'm going to make these two trombone, the tenor trombone, not the bass trombone waves as well. And we're going to do sort of almost like a left-right thing here. So almost like waves, you know, you're sort of getting two different things going on. Does AI have exotic articulations like flirtando, concertino? We have some concertino. We have some harmonics. We don't have any flautando to my knowledge. Maybe we're going to have to fix that at some point. So, yeah, this is going to sound really nice, I think. Not that loud, but you get where I'm going with this. So, bring that dynamics. Yep, I think this is going to work. I'm just going to play it in. Let me rename this so I don't get confused. Nice, I think that kind of works. Bring that back a tiny bit. Let's just see from the beginning kind of what we've got. We're not worried about mixing because we would definitely want to do some work to carve frequency out for all this stuff, but we're not going to do that today. Okay. I think we need to maybe go to the major. Don't want to make this too major, but I think a moment of majorness, for want of a better word, might work here. And then maybe the same. Let's just see, is this too much? Is this too on the nose, or is it going to work? Yeah, something like that I think might work. Let's just make sure, sort of tidy this up a bit. Yeah, so it's kind of working. Let me just go back in and double check that. I think we need to maybe bring that back a bit. Oh, thank you, Brandon. I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, this is really fun. I mean, it's beautiful to do some kind of scoring stuff, you know. Okay, nice. Now what we need to do is we're going to there. So we need to make sure we get this in. We'll gradually ramp things up. I want to add a little bit of randomness here. Again, we don't want anything to sound too perfect. Same thing here. We're not going to go there. We're going to bring that down a tiny bit as well. Our glockenspiel, I think it's just a bit too much in the mix, but we're not worried too much about the mixing, but we will try and get a balance, at least with the volume. Maybe a little bit of work here and there. So we'll listen to these. Yeah, and of course, if we're going to A major, we now need to change these ostinatos to do that. Yeah, so maybe it's going to be there. Let me just see. Let me change everything and see. What do we have here? Change them and something like that. Let's just have a little listen to that. So it's not going to be those. They're going to all be up there. Okay, let's have a little listen to all that. Nice. Okay, I think that's coming together. Just see, make sure that's sort of coming up where we want it to. And let's just put in maybe again, Thomas Newman uses the orchestra really beautifully. It's not, you know, some people are using the orchestra almost like one instrument. They're just doing two or three things, and And it sounds great. You know, if you've got lots of synths and percussion and stuff, that can be a good way to use it. But you know, Thomas Newman is very much using the orchestra in this sort of, you know, more traditional way where there's lots of things going on, lots of colors is the most, you know, unique thing. These days you don't get as much color in orchestral stuff because a lot of it comes from synths and you know, sound design and world instruments and stuff like that. Let's just go an octave up. Let's just see, is that going to be too much or is that going to work nicely together? Yeah, nice. Okay. Thank you, Cancat. I got Jaeger a long time ago, just recently switched completely to AI. So many reasons. Just want to thank you guys. Well, thank you. I mean, thanks for the vote of confidence. Really glad that you're enjoying the instruments. And yeah, it's really, if you're not on our Discord, make sure you get on and show us what you're doing with that stuff. So I think we just want this vocal to come back in as a final transition. Little break there. Something like that. A lot of back and forth here, but we're just building these layers up. Yeah, that'll kind of work for now. A bit messy, but we're getting somewhere with it. Okay. And I'm just to get this melody and let's just start trying to get this next part going. Because that will sort of dictate how everything flows together. Let's just have a listen to what we played. Yeah, something like that. So, really simple melodies. And again, simple's not a condescension. Simple's the hardest thing to do. But we're trying to... His melodies have such beautiful clarity to them. You know, I'm not going to get to Thomas Newman level, but we can try and make something in that style. So... I'm just writing all this in there. Could be playing it, but that probably take too long to iron everything out. Let's just make everything a little bit shorter here. There we go. We want that to be even quicker there, so 16ths. A little flourish almost, you know. There we go. I'm curious to know your general approach feeling when it comes to composing. Does it cool you down when you do it, or do you stress yourself with expectations? It really depends on the job that I'm doing. You know, if you're doing high stress custom trailer music, it can be quite stressful, but still fun. I always say stressful, it's still fun, but yeah, that can be more kind of stressful overall. If it's something like this is why I love the stream so much, because there's no real pressure. If we don't finish this, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, but I think it's always good to have a little bit of pressure there. You know, I think if you don't have any impositions, if you don't have any limits, you just go forever, never get anything made, or at least I would, certainly. So, okay, let's just sort of start getting this in, and maybe I'm just going to double this with one dolce. We don't need too much, but I think maybe one for, you know, a beautiful legato kind of sound with a bit of lushness and a bit of romanticism to it. Araya sounds great, though. I think Araya is right for Thomas Newman because, again, clarity. He has these wonderful sort of clarity-like elements to his music. It's not too sort of lush and romantic, just very emotional and beautiful and kind of translucent almost. But I think that underneath. Okay, nice. And let's put in, I think, a little bass line here, which I think we're going to put in the cello, and then we'll use pizzicato in the double bass, I think. So this is our basis. So this is not what we want. We want this here. So sort of down here, it's not going to be the same level. Maybe. Again, with Thomas Newman stuff, it's not often sort of triple F in your face here and there, but is this something you call a dream hobby job? It is my job. Obviously, I don't do it at the top sort of Hollywood level or anything like that, but it's I work mostly for Audio Imperial, but I do freelance stuff as well, some trailer stuff, some sort of film and TV stuff as well. Yeah, so it's a bit of both, really. Okay, so listen to this. Yeah, so we need that to go on there. Yeah, that's going to be just that note there. And we may not even do the passing note there, but we'll see. So something like that, and we'll get the rest of the melody, and then we'll get a sense of what's happening here. So something like that, I think. That's our melody. Now, I almost instantly know I want to get this melody on the French, not French, sorry, the oboe as well. I think it'll sound great. What I will do is take some of the black hole reverb off the oboe at this point here, though, because we don't want it to be too sort of dripping. So in here, let me just take that down a tiny bit. We can leave a bit on, you know, we can have a little bit of beautiful oboe. There we go. So that texture of the oboe and the violin is sort of quite Thomas Newman-esque. You know, it's not all just strings and brass like it would be on a lot of modern scores. There's a lot of woodwind in there, and we'll need to beef this up if we keep going with it. Let's have a look. Nice, and I think we can even bring this down a bit. It doesn't have to be up here. I think it can be more like here. Obviously, we have a lot of these horns and stuff playing over, so apologies, it's all sounding a bit weird. Let's have a listen from the beginning and just see. We've got a lot of work to do, but just see sort of where we're at and how this is coming together. Do a little save here a second, make sure we don't lose anything. Okay, so. Hey, Nosferatu. Yeah, and we're going to want this lady to be coming out just here. I say this lady, it's a bit rude. I don't actually know her name, but beautiful voice, but we don't want it to be carrying on all the way there. Nice. So next thing we're going to do is maybe just sketch this out. We want the movement to keep going, I think. It's very Thomas Newman-esque. It doesn't sort of, it's not too blocky. Sometimes a little bit, but often there's just these little dashes of color. Okay. I think so. It's just maybe, yeah. I could use step input here if I wanted to. Just write this in. Instantly play the wrong note, naturally. So where are we going from this F? Just gets it in nicely, something like that, I think. And then this is obviously going to be maybe. Let's have a listen, see what we think. I actually think going up to the G. It's almost this kind of childlike quality to his music sometimes, but again, in a beautiful way. It's very, not innocent, but just hopeful, I guess. Or maybe just stay on the F even and do the rest of it. Let's have this. Yeah, I actually think that's the way. Almost like, again, another ninth here. And there we need these to change here. 15. So I think more like this. So just two of these. Let's just try that. So yeah, something like that, I think. Okay, that's quite nice, yeah. Make sure that stays on B flat the second time. Okay. That across. Oh no, that is where it should be, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's have a little listen. These pads are probably going to go out, or at least one of them. Might keep one of them in. Maybe like this. Yeah, maybe just that, actually. Down to that third. Nice big major sort of start. Just nice tinkly textures, you know. I'm sure that's an official music term, but just this nice little counter thing going on here. Adam, do you ever get stumped on pieces where you're not sure how to develop things? Joey tends to get your piano first, just globbing whatever makes sense. I do get stumped a lot, an awful lot. I try to sketch in and be disciplined, but I usually can't get that far before I start digging in. It does depend, again, on time and things. If it's a trailer thing, usually don't really have time to structure it completely. I might get a rough idea and then just have to dig in. With scoring stuff, I'll try and get more of a sense, at least get markers in and figure out where the beats need to be and try and get something in place for each section, and then just worry about the transitions and the sort of middle elements once I have everything in. But yeah, I mean, I get stuck all the time. It's really tough, isn't it? It's the hardest thing, is just to sort of keep going, which is why these streams are good, because I kind of have to work as fast as I can whilst also talking to you guys and not overthink anything, which I think is actually a really good exercise. I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one. So Cosmodium, that's actually a really good question, and I was going to show you guys this. Yes, 100% watch this. So in Cubase, at least, I apologize for those not in Cubase. It's a very quick way to do this. Let's just go to 1-1. So I'm just doing one bar for one note. Okay, watch this. If I go to, let's say I want to do this classic chord sequence. Click minor. Click major. So there we go. I now have this 4 chords just by using these. And then I can even do this. I can say, okay, well, I want the voice leading to be good. So move up, move this one down. Nice. And then in the space for a few seconds. We have chords, and you can do more complex chords if you want to. Let's do major, but let's do a major 7th. And let's do a minor 6th. Why not? Let's do that. So do minor. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do the 7th in there as well. Can I do the 7th? Maybe I got to do minor 7th. That's what it is. So minor 7th. Oh, that's actually a minor major 7th. But you can see I can put chords in very quickly like this if I wanted to. This is a great way of working inside of Cubase as well, if you want to work that way, or you don't have a keyboard. I was trying to sketch as much as possible because when you have 40 different MIDIs, you need to change it. It can be really unmotivating to change anything at all. It's true. Yeah, it can get quite overwhelming. I also do this a lot as well, which I'll show you guys in a minute, which is use these visibility agents to only show tracks with data, for example, to clear my, workflow up, so I'm not looking at hundreds of tracks, which maybe we'll do here at the moment. Okay, let's put some kind of flourish in here. So what have we got going on here? Maybe let's do a fast upward, so C2. Right around here. That might work. Let's just see. Yeah, nice. Now, I think we need, these are our waves, is that right? If I just do Alt-Shift-D, duplicate these, I'm going to get some horn sustains. I think I'm going to want the chords in the horns, maybe tubas as well. Maybe not trombones. They might be too strong. We'll see. It could work with trombones if you get them down in the low, but we'll see what it's like with horns. I like using horns for harmony sometimes. We're used to using horns, especially if you work in the trailer world. Horns are all the melody stuff. It's pretty rare you'll have much harmony going on in the horns, but they're beautiful. So what maybe? Let's just see. Down here. Yeah, sort of there. Let's just play these in. So I'm going to go back to here. Oh, this is why I don't play C. Terrible, terrible playing. Let's just do that again. Maybe... I think maybe there instead. I'm not sure. Not sure. Yeah, you know what? We'll do a 4-part harmony here. I'm just going to want that one. I'm just going to record a little bit of modulation into this. Okay, yeah, that kind of works. Glue all them together. Let's see what we've got. We're going to want not too many spaces between these. We don't want to have any sort of gaps, really. A little bit for breathing, but this would be quite a flowing section. So sort of get all these in, something like that. Something like that as well. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the course. And thank you about the composition. Yeah, it's coming together. Hopefully it's going to be okay by the time we're finished. Okay, that's going to work for now, I think. Let's just take them down a tiny bit. And what we're going to do, so this will be a very Thomas Newman-esque thing as well, is we are going to take these core arts of the violas, just get those filled in. I mean, I say Thomas Newman, this would be a lot of composers. But down here, we don't want them to be overpowering. So that combination of... Apologies for all these Poseidon. Do you know what? I'm going to actually mute them until we're good to use them. Otherwise, there's going to be nothing but waves all the time. Do you sometimes use the chord track? I don't use it too much. I use the chord input feature a lot. I use the chord track less, but some people do. Actually, funny enough, we've done a course with the great Tristan Noon recently. He uses chord tracks sometimes, especially when he's working as an orchestrator, because it makes it easier then to just get a sense of the harmony quickly and sort of see where you're at in the piece. I don't tend to use them as much, but mostly just because I've never really tried them, you know, as much as some people have. I'm busy building my template and watching this. Awesome. Yeah, building templates is fun. Okay. So bring that down. We want everything to be quite gentle here, I think. Okay. I think we're going to want, in the second violins, we're going to want the melody an octave down, I think. We shall try it and see what we think. So, you know, violins in octaves, very, very common, very beautiful sound. But so maybe that is a good point. We're not going to have the range. Maybe we want to do this in the violas and not have the harmony in the violas. Controversial, but hey, maybe that's how we got to do this. So violins and violas playing the melodies, also very common. See how it adds a bit of reinforcement to the melody. And we also have it in Dolce too, which I'm going to make sure I copy the rest of this over to. Just make sure we got all the melody there. So, turn this up a bit. This is almost functioning like our second violin in a way. Nice. Now, what I think I will do is probably, let's have a little listen to the strings on their own. So I think I'm going to bring in the cello, almost divide the cello. Well, that's what it's going to sound like we're doing. So make sure they're on sustain. I have these beautiful, I won't do them concertino, although that'd be interesting. My workstation is Billy working, unfortunately. Ah, that's a shame, Brandon. I hope you get, I did see that you're getting a new one. Excited when you do get it. What did you go for? I think you did say, but remind me again what you went for. So it's exciting when you get a new workstation. Is it the MacBook? I can't remember now. Okay, so yeah, actually, I think this will work. I think that's the same nicer. It's like we've divided the cellos in three. Another thing that Tristan taught me that he likes when we did the course, he's talking about some of his favorite pairings. He likes to divide these cello into three. Beautiful, rich sound. So yeah, stealing that from him. But I mean, I think a lot of people use this because it is a beautiful sound. So it's like the cello doing these three things. Really nice, beautiful, rich sound. Okay, what I want to do, I think, in the violins is a little bit of movement, some shorts. Thomas Newman uses shorts a lot. We'd love to see on a stream where you take a simple piano 8-sketch bar and turn it into a many bar score. Maybe we should do that one day. Yes, I think maybe we'll get one of you guys to write something in. Cosmonium, I think you might have sent me something actually, so maybe I'll use that. I did see that you sent it to me and we hadn't found a place to use it just yet, but if you're happy for me to use it, maybe we can use that. Let's take a look at these spiccati. Yeah, something like this. Again, what I'll do here is play this in with step input. So it's going to be this, step input on. That enables me to do this. Keeps all my playing, but makes me sound like I'm actually in time and can play reasonably well, which I definitely can't. Perfect. That's why I love step input. What I am going to do, though, is just take this, bring this all back a tiny bit, and then use a tiny bit of random here. Don't want this to sound too perfect, you know. Yeah, that sounds quite nice, I think. Okay, let's put these back in and just see where we're at. This is sounding a little bit muddy and indistinct because we haven't really mixed it or arranged it too much, but we've got something kind of going. Okay, we're sort of getting somewhere. A little bit messy, but, you know, it's all kind of there. It's working, I think. One more thing I think I want to put in here is some piano. Here it is. Now we're going to make this sound sort of like it's fairly far back. I think clavier will work for this. Some kind of lovely intimate piano would be good, but clavier is more of a trailer piano, but we can make it work, I think. Something like that. Quiet though. Quiet, quiet, quiet. And then we'll bring the velocity right down. I'm going to play this in 2 parts. Step input again. Yep, so we're going to start there. Oh, that didn't input for some reason. Where are we? Start again. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, and then go back to the beginning here. And then we'll do something like... Okay, we're going to squeeze all these together and bring them right down. Same here, squeeze. Well, they don't need to really squeeze together. Then we should get something that sounds quite nice. God, it almost makes it sound like I can play. Let's see if that works. I think that's going to help add a bit more reinforcement here. I need to get my new Studios monitor speakers as well. Is the other course in Cubase also the go-to or Logic? So the other course is mostly notation based, but Tristan does do his, he composes in Logic, I think, but he does the cleanup in Cubase. And again, because Cubase has some features that's very good for that kind of thing. So it's mostly in Cubase as well, but actually it's all about cleaning MIDI ready to notate it, which is what he's doing. Yeah, nice. Those horns a bit too loud? I think so. And the thing with horns, in a busy mix, they're always a little bit too MIDI. In a sparse mix, that's fine. Here, just there. It's beautiful, but it's just in a busy mix, it's too, makes them sound too close. We could probably also do with a bit of reverb as well, but we'll do that at the end. Okay, one final thing I want to do here, well, not final, but one thing I want to do, and then we sort of got everything in place, is some beautiful pizzicato bass. Very Thomas Newman. Let's go back and just try and get these in. Yeah, something like that. Played awfully, but you get what I mean. Dum, dum. Something like that. Let's bring them a bit closer together, make them a bit even. Bring them up a tiny bit. There we go. Yeah, I think that works. Cool. Okay, so what we've got going on here, I think, is pretty good now. Let's just iron out some of these. Okay, what I think I want to do here is just add a bit of sustain. I'm just going to turn it off on these chords here. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Sorry, guys, if I'm missing out on some things. But Newman is no envious. I'm not sure that he's going to be envious, but I'm glad that you're liking it. Okay, let's have a listen to sort of the whole thing so far, see what the groove is like, see where we're at. Okay, let's sort of rough all this in now, and then we've kind of got the piece going. So that's going to be, I think. So. Yeah, okay, nice. See, clavier sounds really nice like this, right? I mean, it's a trailer piano, but actually it does pretty well. It's soft when it's sort of in a busier mix. Okay, that's cool. Let's just sort of get all this in. That's G. Okay. Just wondering if I think that sounds better. I think it doesn't quite work keeping that B flat. It's a bit muddy. Maybe a little flourish here. Oh, it's not that loud. It's a little bit different there. Yeah, I like that. Let's keep that. Okay. Then I think we'll do this with harp. Something like that. Thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely keep going, and yeah, really appreciate you joining us for however long or short you can. It's just great to have people. Okay, let's just get all the rest of this in, then we're kind of done for the basic stuff. So we need these. Oh, in G minor, that's why. We'll move as little as possible here. We don't really want to do anything we don't have to do. Okay, we'll do a tiny little bit of swell there, nothing too much there. Something like that. In fact, I'll bring that down a tiny bit. Nothing's too loud in this. For those using Cubase and use expression maps, choose the attribute or direct ones. I don't use expression maps too much, hoping someone can help, but they are useful if you like that workflow. I'll go up there for that. Okay, that's cool. So, just do a quick thing there. Bring all that together. Let's have a listen to that. And just copy this over, keep this going to maybe actually take that down. I think that works better. Then we can keep that the way it is. Okay, let's just have a quick listen to that just in strings. Okay, and then something like that maybe, I think. Fix it all up as we go, but I'm getting that feeling with it. Okay. Hi there, Q-Phone. Okay, cool. We have something going on here. Adam, what kind of music do you make outside of orchestral and traded hybrid type stuff? It's a good question. What kind of music do I make? It's mostly kind of orchestral based, even my own personal stuff. I do some random dungeon synth stuff sometimes as well, weirdly, and some sort of synth based stuff. Yeah, mostly, I wouldn't really say experimental, but I just kind of noodle with orchestral sounds a lot. I have to post online somewhere some of the stuff that I do that's sort of just for me. I haven't put nearly as much up as I should do. Yeah, it's a... What about you guys? What do you guys make if you're not working or not doing media scoring? Okay, let's just fix that up. Oh, what do I listen to? Sorry, Brandon. That's a good question. It's pretty eclectic. I do like a lot of classical music. I listen to a lot of, sort of Stravinsky. I really like Charles Ives. Trying to think who else. A lot of Ligeti and sort of 20th century composers, but I also like things like Bach and stuff as well. And then random things like a lot of I love Aphex Twin. I love a lot of 90s rock. That was really what I grew up with. Well, it's a bit before my time, but that's kind of what I ended up enjoying. So it's pretty eclectic. And then, who else? I mean, there's quite a lot of random people who, I'm trying to think of some random ones. I quite like metal too. Pretty big fan of metal, so I do listen to a lot of that. EDM, I tried other creativity, 3D design, preferably epic sci-fi stuff. That's cool. Don't listen to too much pop. Obvious ones like, I don't know, I love the Beatles and things like that. But modern pop, no, I'm a bit old now. I'm a bit out of touch with some of it. How about you guys? Yeah, what do you guys listen to? I do trailer audio for dance festivals and I produce hard dance music. That's cool. Okay. Let's get solo flute. I think for maybe the second part, maybe let's get clarinet. I'm actually going to use the nucleus ones, not the solo ones, because I think we want a slightly more nimble sound today. But I think I'm going to want to double the oboe with the clarinet. Just reinforces those mids. Really important in stuff like this. Okay, I think we're going to want that to be a little bit louder. Metalcore, epic trailer things. I mean, I listen to a lot of epic music as well. I grew up on two steps and stuff like that. I still love that stuff. Lots of really random things. Like I said, Aphex Twin, a lot of the Warped Record stuff I really enjoy. I think that's going to be that. Okay, let's just sort of see where we're at, because the second part is mostly copy and paste and then just some orchestration changes. So we're kind of hopefully nearly-ish there with a basic idea. I work on electronic music. That's cool. Do you have any of that up, Brandon? I'd like to hear it. And the second time around, we're going to want pretty much the same thing. So we'll just copy and paste, and then we'll sort of clean up and do what we need to do. So I'm just going to take everything here, copy and paste it. I know some things we're going to need to change, but I kind of know what they will be. And then we've got a kind of rough outro, I think, and then just spend a bit of time polishing it up. Okay, so the second time around, what did I do? I had an idea for how I wanted this to go. Yes, okay, I think I got it now. So first thing we're going to do is put these an octave higher, second time around. So octave higher. Now we want to change our bass line, which we'll just have to do strings first. Sometimes I just like to work section by section. Do you have your template loaded in instances in multi patches or key switches or single patches? This is mostly multis. In my bigger template, I tend to work with individual patches. Okay, so let's get this bass line in. So it's going to do... Okay, that's what's going to happen. Let's get that in here as well. So I think I want here. I think I'll keep that where it is, actually. Okay. I think it's like this. Yes, that's a very cool. I think doing some more courses or expanding our modern composer blueprint. I'm not sure what, but I would love to put some more stuff in. So I'm definitely up for doing courses, and we do have some ideas. And yeah, maybe we'll do deeper dives, and we'll, you know, make everything available to you guys. And yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Maybe that. Let me just see. Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, so that needs to be there. Then we'll figure that section out. So that's most of the strings, I think. And let me just do that second half of the melody. Let me see what I wrote. I sketched this out. Oh. Ah, yes. So we've got this little suspension again. I love Constrictor. That's cool to hear. I love Constrictor too. That was the first product that I was really involved with Audio Imperia, and that was great to kind of dive in and make all these cool sounding effects and stuff and go record them. I use Constrictor a lot. I really enjoy it. Lots of cool stuff there. Okay, just get all this in. Go back up here. Do the same thing in Dolce. Oh. Just have a listen to that. Yeah, we'll come and fix that last bar because that's... Now we come and fix our brass. Okay, let's just sort of write all this in really quickly. Do a little bit more shaping on the brass here, I think. And I want to do that little movement there. And then we'll fix the rest of it up. Okay, so anything we got going on the brass, so that's nice. So we'll just replace. Come up and something like that, I think. We'll see if that works. Let's just go in here and make sure we fix this part up. So yeah, sorry, this is all a little bit of copy and paste here, but once we're done, we're done. Okay. Let me just see where we're at. Okay. Okay. So we got most of that in place, I think. And then we just go to these final chords and we're pretty much there. So interesting chords, so, and then this major seventh, A flat major seventh, and then back to the F. So let's just get all that in. Okay, let's see where we're at with this. Little bit of a Thomas Newman-y sort of surprise, if you like, a little moment of harmonic. So I think it's going to be more like it's all sounding a bit weird, but it'll come together. Okay, let's just do this. I think something like this. Yeah, just a little moment, I think. It's kind of Newman-esque. I mean, I'm not saying it's like exactly what he would do, but I think he just uses these beautiful little moments of surprise, but not too much surprise. And again, these suspensions help you to move places without sounding too happy or sad. You know, sometimes if we were to try and move to a G minor or something, it'd sound ridiculous, or like a C major. But all these suspensions, suspended seconds and fourths, able to move around a bit more with that continued ambiguity. Okay, now we just need to fix up these basses. So, yeah, something like that. No problem, Harrison. I know how it is. It's busy life. I hope the meetings were productive, whatever you were doing. Something like that. We'll worry about that as we go. I'm actually going to split these. I think that would be fine. It's sort of a bit of a cheat, but it's not a cheat. You could definitely do this. I think it would be fine. I think it would be completely fine, actually. We could always ask Tristan. He probably have a better idea of how to do this, but For mock-ups, at least, this is good. You get the intention at very least. Okay. Ah. I think we need to go up there. Oh, well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I mean, it's they'll all be available for you at the end if you do want to check it out. Make all these. Yeah, that's kind of coming together now. So we just want them to fade it to the ends here. Then we're on kind of home run. Home run? Is that the right phrase? What am I thinking? Home straight. Home run. God, it's been a long day. Just sort of fade them down. That will do for now. Okay, so I think bring these up. Delete those overlaps. And then we just got to get these chords in. So yep, they're going to be twice as long as that. Just do that down a bit there. And then that's true, yes, Harrison. One thing would be true is you probably, if you're using other libraries, you'd probably have to do some tweaking because each library is made differently, and so nothing translates 100%, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, there's not really a standard, if you like, because people make their libraries in different ways. Yeah, but I suppose that's part of the challenge as well, is kind of reworking them for different libraries. Or if you picked something up in the Audio Imperial bundle, hopefully you can sort of translate it straight across. I think just up there. I think that will work. Let's just have a listen to the yeah. Let's just copy those over to our woodwinds, and we'll also double this entire section on the before I do that, let me delete everything else, otherwise it's going to get really confusing. Delete those overlaps. There we go. Same thing here. Just copy all this over. Okay, nice. It's there. What we'll do is this at the end, I think. Just a nice slowdown. That'll just help sort of smooth that all over there. Okay. Now we just need to fix these up and then we're kind of there. This is going to be... Okay, let's listen to these each. Oh, I've moved them all over. There we go. And then duplicate them. think that'll work. Go back up there to the end. Do I play any instruments? Not particularly well. I play some guitar. I play a little bit of piano, some percussion, but nothing well, you know, nothing that I want to show people particularly. But I enjoy playing them. I'm okay. I'm okay at guitar. You know, I can hold a tune, and piano I can kind of hash stuff out a little bit. How about you guys? Something like that, I think. Even more of a slowdown there, I think. We're going to fade back in maybe just like a nice ethereal outro. And that'll be us kind of done. Let's fix this final one up. So we've got... I think this. Something like this, I think. Definitely want them. Something like that, I think. Not sure exactly what to do there. And then there'll be that. Ah, that's cool, Brandon. Trombone's a cool instrument to have learned to play. I used to play a bit of trumpet when I was a kid, but not well. And certainly can play it now. But trombone must be a cool instrument to be able to play. Okay, yeah, I think we'll go for about another 10, 15 minutes on this, and we should be able to get something kind of done for a couple of hours. Yeah, nice. And we'll just bring that down even more. Everything come down. There we go. What chord is that? This one here? I'll show you where we're at. So we're sort of in this B flat. Let me just bring this up. So we're in this B flat. Let me just move this to B flat actually. So it's going to make more sense that way. And it's a major, not a minor. So yeah. And then we go to G minor. And then at the end, we go back to this suspended. And then we go to this major 7th, A flat, major 7th, and then back to the suspended, and then down to that major, and then we'll end on some kind of nice suspension at the end or something, maybe get a little flute or something in there. Oh yeah, speaking of flute, that's what we were going to do. We want the nucleus solo flute. I think we're going to want, where is it? There we go. Put up here, take that an octave up, and make sure we've got some reverb on there. Copy and paste that reverb. By the way, if you didn't know you could do that, it's quite useful. If you got like a, you know, something that you're using, you can just go copy, and then you can go paste, and it will paste it in. Quite useful if you're sort of moving quickly between things. I got an idea. That'll make it sound a bit interesting at the end. Okay, kind of working. Just bring that down at the end. Make sure they're sort of coming out nicely. think that will be fine. And then we will go back to our synths at the end. Don't know really what we're going to do. We can literally just copy them over. And just put them in B flat. And then something like that. And then we'll maybe just have a nice low cello at the end in there on B flat. So something like maybe just that. Okay, not too bad. I actually wonder if we can make that a third instead of a fifth at the end. Paste them together, sort of tidy that up. Not gonna have any of that. Maybe more like it. Yeah, I think that, and then we can have a nice. How many tracks am I using? That's a good question. Let's have a look. For this one, I've obviously got quite a few here, but for this one, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 tracks on this one. And then in terms of reverbs, there's 3 set up here. So you can't see them here. Let me see. But I've basically got 3 set up. I've got a, well, I can show you like this. So I've got a room, hall, and then black hole, which is like an effect reverb, a lot more kind of airy, if you like. Let's just see very quickly what I did at the beginning. Maybe something like that at the end. Just put that in. That'll do. Just something simple at the end. I mean, we're not going to have time to polish this, but that'll kind of work. We'll obviously take that right down to its lowest dynamic because we don't want that to really pop out the way it did. So something like that. Yeah, nice. And then I'm wondering if we can just do... Yeah, just play in something just nice at the end. Nice textures, you know. Sweet, that'll do. It's all just texture and lovely, you know, because we're basing these suspended, sort of everything works in the suspension, you know. It's like as long as you're using the fourths and the seconds and the, you know, root and the fifth, everything sounds really nice. So same thing here, the harp. And then maybe we'll just do a tiny little bit on the piano as well, not too much though. Obviously that first note was a bit hot. We can actually turn this piano down. In fact, I think more like that. And we'll just turn that piano down. We really just barely need to hear that at the end. We'll just do that with volume. Don't need to worry too much about that. Make this a bit bigger. Bring that down down there, something like that. Okay, and we're going to need a little transition into that section so it doesn't sound too abrupt, which we can do as we started. Nice little sort of more like here. We'll just sort of keep that going. Ah, of course. I think that will work. Just bring her back at the end. I'm quite new and I've learned 7 new libraries. You have some tips on getting used to them. I think watching the streams might help. If you haven't watched previous streams, you know, you can see how we're using them. We also have the walkthroughs that are quite useful. And of course, on Discord as well. If you're not on our Discord, join, ask any questions, and we'll be happy to help in terms of how things work. Or, you know, if you have particular issues with the libraries that you need to try and figure out how to use them, let us know as well. And again, if there's any specific videos you'd like to see, let us know and we'll see if we can get them made, whether it's doing a specific thing on stream or whatever it might be. That would be definitely useful. Up there instead. I think there we can go. It's quite a Thomas Newman ending with a little vocal flourish, I think. Obviously, they are not going to go on that long because the song's, well, not song, terrible way. The cue's pretty much over by then. Okay, let's sort of listen from the beginning. We'll maybe do a tiny little polish if we got a couple of minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it's coming okay. I think, you know, there's definitely, it's a bit rough in the transitions, but, you know, for 2 hours work, I think the idea is there and you sort of get where every piece is going to go. So I don't think we'll do too much cleaning up today. I think we've pretty much got everything that we need. Let's just see. Is there anything we can do here just to smooth this? So I think we can do sort of this. That'll help just smooth that little section over. And one more thing I think I'll do is just put like a little cymbal swell there. Let's find. I will put some reverb on that. Yeah, something like that. Don't need to be too fussy about it. And maybe a harp gliss. Great idea. Great idea. Let's do those two things. So we'll pop this in. Nice little cymbal. a beautiful harp list. We have the harp going on here, but that's fine. What we're going to do is take it out there. And what I will do, I'm trying to think how best to do this. Yeah, I think I can just play it in like that. It's going to be played in, a bit rough, but then we can move it around. Let's go. Like that. Look at that beautiful playing. If I move that to F, it should. Yeah, it should. I think it fits in. You know what I want to do? Just maybe. Nah, for this it'll be fine. We should. No, actually, yeah, we can have the majors in there. We've established a major at this point, so that's fine. I think that's a great idea, Brandon. There we go. That should help smooth it over. Let's go back a little bit and listen. Yes, the auto harp. Yeah, that sounds nice. That was a great shape, Brandon. I wasn't thinking straight, but that was a great idea. Okay, let's listen to the sort of final thing. I mean, it would definitely need a lot more work, but as a 2-hour mock-up for an original piece that we've done, it's almost a minute long. I mean, it's not too bad, I don't think. So here we go. Here's the piece that we came up with. Cool, not too bad. Yeah, I think we got some Thomas Newman-esque stuff in there, you know, the nice balance of sound design and orchestra, you know, some of those kind of suspensions and more ambiguous chords, a few little sort of key changes, not really key changes, but just sort of non-diatonic movement. Use of the woodwinds, which is definitely a key feature, some sordino strings as well, and some of those kind of textures, all these, you know, pitch percussion, shimmery things. And with a bit of mixing, they would really just clean up like that. But that's for another time, maybe. Let's head back to just chatting, and we shall wrap up for today. Cool. So there we go. There's a little bit of fun just playing around with some Thomas Newman-like ideas. Obviously, 2 hours on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm not going to hope to hold a candle to Thomas Newman, but we kind of used some of the techniques, and it was really good fun to just write in that style and maybe do something along the lines of a kind of cue that he would do. Thank you for everyone that joined me. Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate the kind words, and I'm glad, you know, that you guys have enjoyed it. Hope it's useful. I will make this available on the Discord at some point. I know a few people have asked for the other ones as well. They will all be coming, I promise, over the next few days. I've just got to clean them up and then get them sent, and there will be MIDI files available for you guys to dig in. And if you've got the anniversary collection or the flagship collection, a lot of the libraries that I've used will be in those, so you'll be able to pretty much one for one translate these over and then have fun, you know, dig in, play around, see what you can come up with, mix and change, and see what happens for you guys. No problem, Pecan Records. Thank you for joining me. As always, it's great to hang out with you guys for a few hours and yeah, to do some either composition or mock-ups or just dig into some other composers. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure what we'll be doing. Any suggestions, ideas, thoughts, put them in the Discord. But we've got a few ideas as well. So whatever we do next week, it'll be fun. I'm sure the other guys will be here as well. Some of them are on holiday or doing other things. So it's been a bit quiet in the chat today, but next week I think it's going to be business as usual. Thank you guys so much for chatting. It's been great to read the conversations. I don't always join in as much as I'd like because I'm busy composing, but I do read back, and I really do appreciate all the questions and answers, either to me or to each other. This is what it's all about, right? We're just hanging out, learning from each other. And all I'm hearing now is all the places that Brandon's brilliant idea of putting harp glisses could work. All the way through, I can just hear harp glisses now. So I'm probably going to add them before I close up for the day. But I won't make you guys suffer through that. So yeah, next Tuesday, we will be back. In the meantime, do join our Discord if you haven't. And also, subscribe to the YouTube channel because there will always be new videos, new content. And yeah, we want you guys to be the first to know. So sales over. Hope you all grabbed a bargain. If you did, hope you enjoy it. You have just about missed the stream, I'm afraid, but it will be available as soon as this is finished. It'll always be 4 o'clock, or most weeks it'll be 4 o'clock start, UK time, which is GMT. So, but don't worry, you better watch everything back, and you can join us next time. Yeah, it's one of those things, right? We're going to miss them sometimes. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has been great. I'm going to wrap up for today. And I shall see you guys next time. Until then, happy composing and have a great day wherever you are.